Good morning, everybody. Don't forget the funny slogan, meditate as fast as you can. Hurry up and meditate already.
Okay,
Hi.
good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Hi, Lama. Good morning to you, Lama. How
Good
are you
morning.
doing this morning?
Good. How are you today, Jeff? Thank you.
I'm doing good. Thank you so much. Looking forward to today and happy to connect with you again. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and hanging out with us online and connecting in this space of co-meditation. And it's so great. I really look forward to this on Sundays. So yeah, please. I think I just would say a few things. We did our first virtual retreat yesterday to everyone. If you weren't there, we'll have another one, several actually this year. And I'll put links in the chat here. And then obviously every Sunday at 11 o'clock, we have our meditation town hall. And then coming up on January 23rd at 11 Eastern time, we have a masterclass, transforming hindrances and stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So those are our updates and upcoming programs. So thank you so much. And Lama, please.
Thank you, Jeff Woolman, Executive Director of Dzogchen Center, and all of you who help us do this. And it's so wonderful to get together and, as you said, co-meditate together and intermeditate, as is called in my book, Make Me One with Everything, Buddhist meditations to see through the illusion of separateness, which I really recommend. There's a lot of Dzogchen, and without the foreign words and jargon, ways to see through separateness, ways to connect, dissolve, and connect at the same time in nature, in relations, with your pet, with your children, with your mate, with God, with yourself, co-meditating, intermeditating, the way to interbeing. And it's so lovely to get together like this, especially in these days. It's a new year, a new start. Not just a time for New Year's resolutions, so easy to lose track of, but for attention and intention. Awareness is curative, friends. Awareness is the higher power in this path of enlightenment. Attention and intention. The Dalai Lama himself often quotes the Buddhist scriptures. Shantideva, I think it was, the Peace Master, who wrote How to Be a Bodhisattva, the great Indian classic of Mahayana Buddhism, the Bodhicharya Avatara, the way of the Bodhisattvas, who said everything depends on intention and motivation. We all know the cliche saying that hell is paved with good intentions. That's a different side of it. But karma first starts with impulse and intention and how we manage that. Intention and attention is the essence of the awakened life, of the mindful life, of the enlightened life. If we want to look into this deeper, there's an age-old koan, conundrum, riddle about how to balance, on one hand, effort and striving, persistence, perseverance, diligence, all of that, effortful striving, which is so important in life, and surrender, non-attachment, equanimity, letting go, letting be. It's a balancing act, but it's not a high wire act. It is a balance, though. And we grow up so much with the effortful striving, and we forget about leaving room for relaxation, for acceptance, for surrender, for letting go and letting be, for opening to the wisdom of allowing. As Buddha said, there is nirvanic peace in things just as they are. That's saying a hell of a lot, considering the shit that's going down in this world today and these days. I don't know if it's worse than ever, but it's bad enough to concern us seriously. And we wonder what we can do about it and how we can contribute to a better world and being better people. And those we're connected to and love and care for, as well as others. And the whole environment and all the fauna and flora, all the endangered species, etc. And the endangered environment itself and endangered timeless wisdom traditions. We need to protect traditional cultures and values. It's not the only thing, preservation. There's also adaptation, evolution, creativity, experimentation, exploration, of course. But we need to cultural preservation. And we're losing a lot of species every day. And the environment is so endangered. As is the natural resource that we call timeless wisdom traditions. An endangered natural resource that we overlook, that we ignore, that we let fall into the destitute of disuse and obscurity at our peril. So our mission is transmission, not just studying Buddhism, but transmitting the way of awakening, of awakefulness, of awakeful living, of enlightenment, of inner freedom and self-mastery, as well as through interconnectedness, through mutual reciprocity and inclusiveness, through love, through I-thou relations, as Martin Buber called it, the great Jewish philosopher. Not I, it, what can I get from it, what's it going to do to me, but I-thou, mutual reciprocity. I to I-Y-E to I-Y-E. As Rabindranath Tagore said, the first Nobel Prize winner of India, the Nobel Prize winning poet Tagore of Bengal, such a great traditional culture of Bengal. Founder of Shanti Niketan University, a radical pioneering university in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, still going in West Bengal, Eastern India. He said, when you know yourself and your true self with a capital S, you know God, and you know the relation between God and human. So self-inquiry, self-knowledge, and the tools and techniques and practices of, quote, learning, that, quote, higher education, wisdom education, is so precious. These timeless wisdom traditions they carry, it's so precious, so meaningful for those of us who feel called to it, who recognize it, who can benefit by it, who can grok it, who can make it part of ourselves, who can take it in, apply it, and make it part of ourselves. I love the Dharma. My wife used to say that I was married to the Dharma first and to her second, but she didn't mind. By Dharma, she didn't mean a congregation, a club, a building. She meant what we would call in English, the spirit or God. And she had room for that. Who wants to come before that in somebody's life? Especially since we met somewhat later in life, and I was already well along on this path. So I wish the same for you. In the Kabbalah, in Hebrew, we call it devkut, cleaving to the high ground, to the divine, not attached like a limpet or a leech. Although I've been there, done that, we've tried that. That has its limits, not recommendable. Devkut, devotionally cleaving to it, adhering to it, sticking to the high ground, whether they go low or not. The high ground within, that is the meaning of Tibet, metaphorically, the garden of peace, as the Dalai Lama calls it, the high ground within. And we all have that. That is the Garden of Eden. That is the original kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven that even the Bible tells us the kingdom of heaven is within. And we can help usher in kingdom, whether it's the kingdom of heaven, or if you want to talk Tibetan Buddhism, the pure lands, the paradises, the celestial pure lands. In this very world, the light within the shadows. Shadows are nothing but light. Loving, embracing, accepting the sufferings and dissatisfactions of this nitty-gritty, impermanent, bubble-like floating world, as we call it in Buddhism, Saha. Saha world, floating like a bubble, tenuous, yet beautiful, glistening, shining, buoyant, alive. As a haiku goes, I think it was by Issa, one of the four horsemen of haiku, as I call them. And yes, I did study haiku in Kyoto, Japan for a year in the 70s when I studied Zen and worked in Japan to earn money to stay in India. Issa says, like a dewdrop, like a bubble, like a mirage. And yet, I think that kind of sums up both sides. Like a dream, but not a dream. Let's make it a good dream to the extent that we can for ourselves and for all. So it's a new year. It's a new decade. I guess it's still a new century. The Dalai Lama called the last century the centuries of war, century of wars, and there were plenty. He said, let's make this century a century of dialogue and inclusion. In fact, Congress is just passing a very big bill that includes some rights, some help, some assistance of representation for Tibet. Check it out in the news. It was in the Washington Post yesterday, including about the next Dalai Lama, if and when that occurs. So these things are in the news. They're not forgotten. Still, it's up to us to renew it ourselves in each of us and all of us and in our lives every day. Every day a Sabbath. Every day a holiday, not necessarily a vacation, but a holy day. A day to celebrate the gifts and the miracle. Even the miracle that we're here together. I'm in another country. I'm in Mexico. In a small hotel in semi-retreat from the COVID population of the big cities, from the cold north, where I can be outside every day. We have a Buddhist teaching outside today at the Stupa Building Project of Shechen Monastery in Nepal, Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche's monastery, and his monk here, Lopan Tashi, from Bhutan, from his monastery in Nepal. The Dharma is everywhere. It's here. It ain't queer. Dig it. Wisdom is a higher form of sanity. If we're getting strange, if we're getting weird, we might consider if we're on the right path, on the right way. Talk to your friends. Talk to your teachers. Talk to your friends. Look into the books, the classics, the scriptures, the modern commentaries. All the wonderful living teachers have podcasts, YouTubes, not just books. So many opportunities to tune in, to connect. Somebody asked me yesterday at our one-day retreat, our Dzogchen Center winter retreat, New Year retreat, renewal for the new year. Somebody asked what resources they could access to get on with this path. There's so much, it's a beggar's banquet. Please participate to the extent that you're interested, if you feel called. As I like to say, many are called, but few choose to go. But it's not that few. If you look at the Pew polls, there's 30 or 40 million doing yoga and doing yoga, maybe 50 million in North America doing yoga today. There's 30 million practicing meditation and mindfulness, roughly. These are rough numbers, but they're big numbers. You know how many Jews there are in this so-called Judeo-Christian nation in the United States? Well, the truth is I've forgotten, but it's something like 10 or 12 million in the Judeo-Christian so-called country. There's 30, 60, 80 million people doing yoga and meditation today. Think about that. The shift, the evolution, the direction that we're looking for spiritual solace and sustenance in the year 2020. It was the year 2020. I guess it's 2021 now, isn't it? Well, we'll just put 2020 behind us. I didn't like that COVID year anyway. It is the year 2021. It's time for us menschers to come of age. Let's take on the pronoun we and move from me to we. Forgive me, I'm in a good mood again. I mean, shit happens. Shit happens also. But I'm not done appreciating the miracle of this moment. I'm looking at this screen. I'm not that electronically oriented, although I managed to function somehow with my writing and communications and study and research. And let's not forget the all-important entertainment and occasional Netflix binge. You know, Sunday used to belong to the church, as they say. Now it belongs to the NFL. But do our days belong to ourselves? That's a question. Or we're just giving it away. We're just killing time, trying to get by, deadening ourselves. Life is so precious. Life is so miraculous. When you lose someone, you realize it. Who knows how long we'll be around. I was dizzy this morning for the first time in a very long time, maybe since my drug take days. And I said, uh-oh, next phase. I hear you, Dad. Oh, God. I don't want to be Pollyanna. I was a little scared. I don't want to fall down in the bathroom half an hour before I come here to get together with everybody, looking at you on the screen, and these little tiles, I call them the postage stamps, all you beautiful beings that I love. Look, there's Menla Rankhorn, the captain of our ship in the southernmost tip of North Carolina, just to confuse us. In Wilmington, North Carolina, just to further confuse us. Yes, Wilmington, North Carolina, the southern tip. She likes to be different. She actually comes from the Granite State of New Hampshire, so she's almost one of us New Englanders via Chicago. And then there's Vicky Simon. In charge of our social media, Lutheran minister in Milwaukee, recovered from COVID. Thank God I don't have COVID in my family, but many do. And how many have died from it now? So many. And the numbers are building up. We have to get our immunizations. We have to wear our masks. We have to be more mindful. It's a mindfulness practice of not touching our faces. Since eating is one of my main practices, it's a mindfulness practice of how to get the food and drink in the mouth in certain places without taking off the mask too much and breathing. There are ways. It's a mindfulness practice to wash your hands all the time. All the time. I don't mean like compulsive. I mean like very, very regularly. And spray them with the right antivirals. So please look at the chat to see upcoming events. like our next master class on Saturday, I think it's January 23rd. The master class is a great opportunity once a month. We have a series. Please join for the whole series. Help us keep going. Please join the Dzogchen Center as a member. Help us keep going with this mission of transmission and with these free get-togethers, online song gatherings of our beloved community, seeing each other and beautiful people. Look, there's Jeff Wallman with his short hair and growing back that famous beard of his. The food catcher is his nickname. Oh, and there's Laura, my sister's best friend's daughter. So many souls. Ram Dass used to say it was like a pod of dolphins finding ourselves squeaking and squealing and soaring. It's like flying through the sea together, like a pod. And if you read his and Mirabai Bush's last book, recent book together, and they have others, they wrote a book on compassion years ago, and many other projects. Mirabai Bush has a lot online, as does Ram Dass and the Be Here Now Foundation, many podcasts and other things. Walking each other home. Ram Dass's legacy book about conscious death and dying, written in his mid-80s before he died at 88 2 years ago, with Mirabai Bush in her 80s herself, a seminal figure in Western Dharma, that both of them. Mirabai Bush, like the Forrest Gump of the Dharma, wherever it was happening, she was there without even knowing how she got there or why. Walking each other home is not a beautiful image of the Sangha on the path together. We keep going on this infinite journey of love, of heart connection, of mutual reciprocity. I know that's a mouthful, but to say something important, sometimes we need some vocabulary words. I, thou, not just I, it. I see you, as James Cameron says, as the big blue people say in Avatar. It is throughout popular culture now. We can't avoid this Eastern thought, this inner spiritual transformative mysticism, this practical mysticism that's come on through the Eastern Gate in the last century or two. Of course, Western religions also have it. Mysticism, esotericism, transformative practices, meditation, contemplative prayer, yoga, Sufi dancing, Kabbalist, what do they call it? The other kind of dancing, joyous dancing. Tibetan Buddhism has Lama dances too. It's a yoga practice. Check it out. It's called Cham, Lama dances, including breathing, visualizations, mudras, mantras, yantras, body positions, and so on. Reenacting the life of the meditation deities, not just sitting and visualizing them, but reenacting the life of the meditation deities. As one of my friends said, he gave a Dharma talk, Charles Genoux of Switzerland, who was one of the original teachers with me here at the Dzogchen Center decades ago, and still teaching in Switzerland, and is a wonderful Buddhist scholar and thinker and bodhisattva friend. Charles wrote an essay called The Autobiography of Kunta Zampo, the Primordial Buddha. It was very short. And the subtitle was Nirvana is a Stone. That's the autobiography of the Primordial Buddha. Everything is it. This is it. Don't blink. You might miss something. No, that's not what I mean to say. It's there every second. Of course, you have to blink. But don't fall asleep at the wheel of this great vehicle of our life together, carrying all into the light, into true life of authenticity and being, joyous, buoyant joy of meditation, joy of spiritual awakening, joy of beloved community awakening together, walking this great path, this timeless wisdom path beyond isms, or schisms. So shit happens. There's plenty to do that we can contribute to this world, although this lockdown, this pandemic time seems like a good time to step back and stay home and stay in a little bit and withdraw the tentacles, have quality time with the loved ones, or with yourself, or with your diary, or with your journal, or with your pets, or with your garden, or with your higher inner power. I would be very happy to remember this year as the year of retreat, of the year of the backward step, of the year of spending time with our children and our mates at home all year, whatever challenges that may bring. It also brings a richness that I believe 5 or 10 or 20 years from now, we're all going to remember this year for that. When we're all going our ways as before, but hopefully we'll learn something and mitigate that kind of centrifugal force that blows us everywhere. Be less distracted and more focused. Everybody talks about how time is speeded up, how there's no time, how we're so busy. Life is long enough for those who know how to live. It's not time we lack, friends, but awareness, focus, priorities. I've written about this in my book, Buddhist Standard Time, BST, not Eastern Standard Time, EST, but BST, and that's no BS. Buddhist Standard Time, the infinite possibilities of now, especially about a subject that you won't find very often in books in English. The fourth time, beyond yet suffusing past, present, and future, the 3 times you find in Buddhist jargon, Buddhist books. The fourth time, the holy now, not horizontal, passing, transient time from past, present to future, linear time, but now, the Christian mystics call it divine time. The holy now, the eternal instant, the Shicha, the fourth fraction, where nowness abides. The still point at the center of the turning mandala, not just the eye of the storm. Our ultimate refuge, Kunta Zampo's seat. Assume your Buddha seat, American Buddhas awaken. You're already here now. Take it. Plumb it. Savor it. Grateful for it. Enjoying it. Recognizing it. Being it as we already are. As it is. These are Dzogchen slogans. As it is. Leave it as it is. See it as it is. As you are. At ease. Of course, this is a path of transmutation, not just change, not just transformation, important as that is transmutation, through incisive, penetrating awareness, wisdom awareness, transmuting the base metal of our animal nature into the pure gold of divine nature, Buddha nature. The great alchemical transformation in the overheated crucible of incandescent presence, incandescent luminous awareness. That's our practice. We call it meditation for simplicity's sake. Awareness cultivation. Wisdom and benevolent compassion, loving kindness and compassion combined like the 2 wings of a bird. So now let's have a practice period, practice what we preach and teach. Enjoy the joy of meditation. I'll leave some time at the end for questions. It's good that we did this yesterday all day. We're doing it today. We'll be doing it again on the 23rd. We'll be doing it again next Sunday. There's every opportunity to access these resources or write us, or message us, or meet us on our websites, on our social media, on my 16 or 17 books, on the reading list in the back of those books, including other teachers' books, movies, DVDs, even Netflix covers it. Check it out. We can't get away from it once you start to get into it and see it. In the beginning, we have to develop a habit of practice, routinize. It's like exercise or lifestyle change. We have to carry it. We have to maintain it. We have to carry our practice with us wherever we go, not just on the meditation cushion or the yoga mat. But then in the middle, we start to get some float, some buoyance, some incentive, and it starts to happen by itself. And after a while, it carries us wherever we go. We call it the path from which one can never deviate. Because it's not a high wire act. It's like just the cracks in the sidewalk. You don't have to step on them. You don't have to miss them. It's not a high wire act. It's all the ground. It's all now. Nirvanic peace and things just as they are. The natural great perfection. The big picture, Mahamudra, Dzogchen. The way it is. The kingdom here and now. Not waiting. We are the ones we've been waiting for, as has been said. Let's align with that. Awaken to that. Rock that. Make it part of ourselves. For the betterment of one and all. For the greatest good, for the greatest number. That's the Mahayana principle, the big boat of universal deliverance and liberation and alleviation of suffering. Not just self-improvement, self-help, not to mention selfishness and narcissism. So take a deep breath, breathe, relax, smile. If you don't feel like smiling, at least breathe and relax. That will have to do. If relaxing is too much to ask, then just breathe, damn it. Breathing is important. As I like to say, very important Buddhist practice. Don't leave home without it. Gather your mental energies, collect your thoughts, arrive here now, first settling. Breathe, relax, and smile. Breathing in, calming the mind and heart. Breathing out, relaxing and smiling at ease. First attention, then at ease. It's a balance. Effort and surrender. Two sides of the coin, two sides of the hand, not separate. The great middle way of balance, appropriateness, moderation, inclusiveness. Breathe, relax, center, focus, smile. Nothing more to do, figure out, remember, achieve, understand. Sometimes I feel like my head is just a big meatball filled with spaghetti sauce. I don't need it as much as I thought. I could be like the Washington Irving's headless horseman, Ichabod Crane, in that great legend of Sleepy Hollow, New York, right near our retreat center in Garrison, New York. I went there once on Halloween at night. It was fantastic. It was like Disney World of Halloween in Sleepy Hollow, Hudson Valley, New York. And I was the headless horseman, heading nowhere, no agenda, enjoying everything as it is. Breathing in, calming the mind, clearing the heart, breathing out, relaxing and smiling. Mindfulness of breathing, breath awareness, the basic Buddhist meditation for concentrating, for focusing, for calming and clearing heart and mind, body and soul, energy and spirit. arriving, settling, now intensifying. Open your eyes and gaze, sky gazing. Don't give yourself a headache. Gazing over the vast panorama. Even if you're in a small room, space is everywhere. Spaciousness is everywhere. Even atoms and molecules are mostly space with a few electrons, neutrons, protons, quarks, norks, and dorks whirling around in infinite space. Space between thoughts, between musical notes, not just the notes themselves makes the music. Interpenetrative, interdependent, interconnected, into being. Co-meditating, intermeditating, interbeing, together, alone together. That's the conundrum, alone together. Effortless effort. Unmeditation, undoing the habit of overdoing. Non-meditation, awareness alone, innate wakefulness, through being interested, even curious, certainly friendly and open. Just this, just this, just this, just this. The thisness, the thusness, the isness, the tata gata, garba, sugata garba, the womb awakening, the womb are the whole Buddhas. Now this awareness, the true Buddha within. Eye gazing, sky gazing, space mingling, dissolving. Natural flow, like the breath, let it go, come and go, let the gentle tide of breath settle. Stop shaking the snow globe of your mind. Little flakes settle and clarity emerges from within. Leave your mind alone, leave you alone. My head ain't the best neighborhood to live in, I found. True life is everywhere. For those who are authentic, genuine, a gentleness, open and aware. And enjoy the buoyant joy of natural meditation, awareness cultivation, awareness of awareness, awareness meditation. Naked awareness, awareness with a capital A plus, just being with a capital B plus. Seeing is freeing. Imho. Eureka. Hallelujah. Amen. Gazing into the mirror of Shunyata, of the shining void, openness, subjectivity, Shunyata, seeing my true face. As the Hindu scripture says, wherever I go, I meet myself, meaning my projections, my karma, being accountable, no one to blame, no one pulling the strings above or behind. It's not what happens, but what we make of it that makes the difference. That's the secret of self-mastery, of autonomy within interdependence, of inner freedom. Then we carry our own atmosphere with us, almost independent of circumstances and conditions, inviting the one and all. Welcome to the continent of blissful awareness, Satchidananda. Awakefulness, awakened living, our true birthright, the community of awakeners we rely on. How sweet it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Can we see the obstacle removing prayer on the whiteboard, Jeff, from Padmasambhava, the Buddha of the three times, the Dusam Sanjay, to go out singing and praying and aspiring to remove obstacles and clear the path and remove hindrances, which will be a subject of the masterclass January 23rd. The Buddha taught about the 5 hindrances, like laziness and restlessness and distraction and so on. We're going to talk about making stumbling blocks into stepping stones and integrating difficulties into the path as precipitants of transformation, gaining through loss, the virtue of adversity, etc. Khyentse Rinpoche himself, in our first 3-year retreat in the 1980s, taught us this tune himself. He said this tune comes directly with the vision, with the words. We should get it right. And his old Eastern Tibetan mouth, non-English speaking, kept us teaching us, going over and over. I remember us out in the garden in our cloister, and our 3-year retreat cloister, and him repeating it again and again with infinite patience, like teaching the children how to, I don't know, sing happy birthday or something. Such a sweet memory of that loving grand old master who had time for everything and yet accomplished so much. He had time for everyone every day and accomplished so much. His Holiness Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche, the Dalai Lama's Dzogchen master. Rinpoche Guru, so good cards with Guru. Gene Smith's Guru, the great Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche, now reborn and going on to about 30 years old, in retreat in Bhutan during this COVID year. Dusa Sanjay Guru Rinpoche Ngara Kunta Dewa Chimpo Sha Bache Consa Duda Japo Sa Sawadaso Shinki Labdu So China Sawe Bache Shivadaha Sampalanji Drapa Shingila Ujin Rinpoche La Zawa De Galchin Bachin Mizi the Jins of Ajuvadan Jadan Tamanga. Precious guide, master, one with the Buddhas of the three times, blissful presence, and awesome source of all spiritual accomplishments, siddhis, miraculous powers, fierce destroyer of illusion, who dispels every obstacle and hindrance. We pray to you for blessing, inspiration, protection, guidance, and realization. Please remove, dispel all outer, inner, and secret and subtlest karmic obstacles, and spontaneously fulfill all our sterling aspirations. And then the new Numen prayer, please. May all beings everywhere with whom we are inseparably interconnected and who want and need the same as we do, may all be awakened, liberated, healed, fulfilled, and free. May there be peace in this world and throughout all realms of existence, and an end to war, violence, poverty, injustice, and oppression. And may we all together complete the spiritual journey. There's a Tara prayer there. Let's do that too. We don't usually get to that. Right under it, the next page. These are some prayers that I collected in the 70s, 80s, and 90s in India, and some translated by me or by others or friends. Oh, Arya Tara, noble Buddha Mother Tara, please lead me on the way of great liberation. Remove obstacles to swift accomplishment. Fulfill all wishes and aspirations. Relieve all sufferings. Dispel all fears, anxieties, and hesitations. Protect me from doubt. Empower me as a liberator of beings so that the ultimate benefit of oneself and others is quickly achieved. Infinite emerald green mandalas of magical activity emanations, instantly pervading the entire universe. May supreme, perfect, unshakable, irresistible, irreversible, complete enlightened like yours be ours. Ah, how sweet it is. Prayer, asking for help, lowering oneself and one's pride, seeking guidance or consolation, or just sharing with your Kalyana Mitras, your spiritual friends and elders, is such an important part of the spiritual life. If you're an introvert, don't use Buddhist values like noble silence and solitude to reinforce your introverted tendencies. Not that you have to become an extrovert, but the middle way is one of balance and moderation. Well, we have wasted a perfectly good morning here. A whole hour has gone by. We hardly have room for any Q&A. Why don't we try one question? A good one, Jeff. I'm getting a lot of pressure from people to have just an Ask the Lama hour.
Okay,
With the practice, time just goes by. Yes, sir.
Here's a doozy. Here's a doozy from Dominique. What is ground luminosity and how does it relate to non-duality? You have 3 minutes.
Those are way too technical terms. We have to define that. But ground luminosity means the basic aliveness or incandescence of being. Like awareness itself is luminous, like the mind is bright, like people are brilliant. So ground luminosity is not personal, it's transpersonal, not impersonal. It's like the immanent light, the inner radiance, the divine light that's in everyone and everything. So it usually goes with there's the ground or mother luminosity, and then there's the child or the son luminosity, and which is us, the individual. So it's like there's God and man, human, and the reunification is the path, is the goal, is the work. In Vajrayana, it's called the reunion of the mother clear light and the son clear light, or spiritual breakthrough epiphany. So it's like the innate or immanent clear light, the innate radiance, the natural radiance, the radiant great perfection inherent in all and everything, the aliveness principle. And what's the other thing? Ground luminosity and?
Non-duality.
Well, duality means dualism, twoism. Bifurcating intellect has to make things too, it's like computers are based on binary, this and that. Our thoughts are, good and bad, comparisons. So that's called the bifurcating intellect, the two making. Like, should we choose this or that? Is it me or you? Is it good or bad? Do we like it or not like it? And we go through life like that. And based on that, liking, disliking comes grasping and aversion, like lust, desire, and hatred or anger, and so on, and all the proliferating emotions. So the idea is, in general talk, to find unity in diversity or oneness, or come home to yourself, reunite with yourself, rather than being living a little distance apart from your body, like Leopold Bloom in Ulysses, or being alienated from yourself or from the world, or just feeling like a meaningless cog in the giant wheel of the universe, rather than the mandala principle, where every part of the entire cosmic hologram, the mandala, is the center. Nothing is further from the center. Each of us is the center, not our ego, but that it's all centered. There's no outside or inside, or cliques, or close or far, or members and non-members, or caste system or class system. So oneness. Of course, Buddhism doesn't really stress oneness. It talks more about Shunyata, but Tukutundap has boldly translated one of the points of Samayas of Dzogchen as oneness, Chikbu, the homogeneity of things. So, but let's not be dualistic about duality. As Trungpa said, just cutting the sky in half with a sword doesn't make two skies. It just makes this side and that side temporarily within the local scope of that stroke. So there is a coherence. What we call it in Dzogchen, one taste, single flavor. Or non-duality. Like non-dual awareness is awareness aware of awareness, not I see candle flame, subject, object, and interaction. That's our usual habitual dualistic perceptions, according to Buddhist psychology, the Abhidharma. Self-recognizing awareness is a little closer to the non-dual awareness of natural wakefulness, goalless, aimless, beyond up and no milestones, no progress, no regress, nothing, nowhere to go and nothing to get. But that's very non-dual, high mystical talk. Like oneness with God is not the average church congregant's experience. It is the reality, but it's not easily experienced and recognized. So I hope that's helpful. That was a very high, sophisticated, complicated question, and I hope I answered it in some way that most of us can get something out of.
Thank you, Lama. Thank you.
Mahamudra and Dzogchen are the non-dual mysticism of Tantric Buddhism. These are high, profound, mystical teachings, like Meister Eckhart, like Jacob Toller, like the mystics, Christians of Middle Ages in Europe. It's not the average butcher and fire and brimstone from every pulpit on Sunday at churches in America. But it's related. Thank you, and thank you all.
Thank you, Lama. Have a great day, Lama.
I
Thank you so much.
that was a non-dual. You're welcome. Take care, everybody. Happy trails. Stay healthy and sane. Love is the way, the truth, and the life. Love you all.